group attacked in a firebombing in Boulder says the anti-Semitic hate has not stopped.
100% I'm being attacked because I'm Jewish.
After prosecutors say they've lost faith in a small-town sheriff's office, they've agreed to audit what's back there in the evidence room. Feels like a good start. As wildfires burn and federal funding for wildfire mitigation is uncertain, let's just do some of these projects ourselves as a community. And tarantulas who just want to smash keep getting smushed in southern Colorado.
Where are they crossing the roads, and how can we protect them from crossing the roads and be safe?
It's a love story, really, and it's next. The group attacked in an anti-Semitic firebombing in Boulder says it no longer feels safe gathering in that city. It goes beyond the violent attack. They faced more anti-Semitism in the months since, as they've resumed their gatherings in support of Israelis held hostage by Hamas. Our Spencer Soisher has that.
Since the terrorist attack on the Run for Their Lives marchers in Boulder, the size of the group has grown.
More than double what our walk was as of June 1st.
What hasn't changed, though, is the anti-Semitism being hurled at the walkers.
I saw that Nazi Rachel there.
Well, that was kind of last straw for me.
Rachel Amaru is the leader of the Boulder Run for Their Lives chapter, and she wants you to see the anti-Semitism they're facing.
I actually think that the majority of people in this city are not aware of the degree to which we're being subjected to this.
Rachel is no longer publicizing where the walk is going to happen.
I made a executive decision.
She says during the last two walks around the Pearl Street Mall, a few people have waited for them, following behind as they peacefully walked. And then after a city council meeting this week, Rachel says some of those people were waiting to confront her again.
I'm victimizing herself. Oh, it's against it. No one gives a f if you're Jewish.
100% I'm being attacked because I'm Jewish.
I'm unfortunately used to her.
Boulder City Council member Tara Weiner is Jewish, and she says that group and the woman shouting in the videos calls her a Nazi and other slurs too.
I think that I have been targeted. Yes, absolutely.
Weiner was on the walk a few weeks ago and then felt she had to leave.
I have to deal with the agitators every 2 weeks, if not more. And my weekend is my weekend, so I did not want to have to stand there and listen to that again.
The walk is not about the Israel-Gaza war or politics.
A peaceful humanitarian walk calling for the release of the hostages.
But that hasn't stopped the anti-Semitism.
I think calling a Jew in Boulder right now a Nazi is so over the top. I can't comprehend it.
Rachel says the group location is only going to be shared with walkers who show up frequently. She and the councilwoman say the woman in that video is the same person who has now been banned from being in the city council building. A suspension document from the Boulder City Manager's office says that person was banned for disruptive behavior during a meeting earlier this month.
Spencer, as we look around over the last year or two, right, there's different veins of anti-Semitism where you can see it coming from the far left, coming from the far right, like some of the takeovers of city council meetings that we've heard about where callers come in with just really nasty venom. But people certainly feel very comfortable saying things that I feel like a few years ago people were not saying publicly.
That's what I was most struck by too. When I was talking with the council person earlier, I said, does it bother you? Like, are you upset? And she's like, she says, I just roll my eyes. Like, I'm used to this. I have this all the time. It's crazy that that's normalized.
Yeah. All right, Spencer Soisher, thank you. Among the least confidence-inspiring phrases you could hear inside a sheriff's office is, "What do you suppose is back there in the evidence room?" But the Castilla County Sheriff's Office has not been inspiring confidence lately. It's so bad the DA is threatening to stop taking their cases to court because she doesn't trust their work. So maybe sorting through the evidence room is a good first step. Here's Marshall Zellinger.
In southern Colorado, law enforcement has challenged law enforcement to do better.
This is the only agency in the San Luis Valley that I have real concerns about the integrity of physical evidence that's collected.
Ann Kelly is the district attorney for 6 counties in the San Luis Valley, including Costilla, where she warned the sheriff's office she would stop taking cases to court unless she could rely on getting evidence and reports from deputies. Earlier this month, Kelly explained how she had to drop more than a dozen cases because of evidence concerns. Then the Attorney General's office confirmed it was conducting its own investigation into the sheriff's office. In a special meeting this week, the sheriff's office updated Costilla County commissioners on its progress, saying a planned inventory of what exists in the evidence room will happen after they get guidance from the Attorney General's office.
Arapahoe County and Douglas County have people on board to come and help with that audit.
That's not entirely accurate. In a statement, Douglas County Sheriff Darren Weekly said his office was approached to assist with a routine evidence audit, and he agreed to offer support. However, once the sheriff became aware that there is an ongoing investigation involving the Colorado Attorney General's office, he made the decision to pause any involvement. And in Arapahoe County, Sheriff Tyler Brown said he had conversations with the Costilla County Sheriff about assisting with an evidence audit, but he's still waiting for more information. So it's not 100% certain they are going. To solve the issue with deputies not completing timely incident reports, the undersheriff suggested an e-filing system to speed things up. But with money scarce in Costilla County, one of the only ways to pay for it would be a federal grant from Homeland Security.
Essentially, if we receive any money from Department of Homeland Security, they will require us to work hand in hand with immigration, which contradicts state statute.
That was deemed too risky since reimbursement could be contingent on cooperating with ICE. So deputies will continue to write reports by hand, and the county has authorized overtime to have the deputies write the reports immediately. The DA told us of one case that went to court a year after the incident, and in the middle of that trial, she received a just completed report from the sheriff's office. Let's at least end on this positive. Last month, the county approved the sheriff's office funding for a new body camera system that is now implemented, which has allowed easier access to the district attorney for the body camera video, which was another issue that the DA brought up.
I mean, it's clear that they have a real financial issue down there, right? It's
Not just the sheriff's office.
Yeah, it's one of the poor areas of the state. I mean, to hear the sheriff's leadership come out and just be like, hey, listen, for what we pay people, you're not going to get the best. Right. And then to square that with the idea of like the justice system where you hope that there's like a minimum standard everywhere in the state. That's tough.
And to know that there's grant money out there that they're like, look, we could get $6,000 to $8,000 to make it easier for our deputies to write reports, but just know that the state law that got passed by lawmakers might come in conflict with that. Like, hey, here's this money, also help us with immigration. And for them to be like, we can't take the money then. That's a pickle.
A new complication for law enforcement. Marshal Zellinger, thank you. They found a bunch of dynamite in Mesa County and had a blast today. That's a joke. So is the fact that everybody in the county got the emergency alert instead of just the neighbors who were near the planned explosion. The Grand Junction Bomb Squad was called out to a house filled with a large quantity of dynamite. They decided the safest way to get rid of the explosives was to explode them. Grand Junction PD meant to send an alert warning to the neighbors who would hear the boom. Instead, they sent it to everybody in the 3,000 square mile county. They quickly posted on Facebook saying, whoops, error with the system. It's funny, right? Except for years, we have been reporting here that emergency communications experts say that screwing up these alerts with unclear information and imprecise targeting causes people to ignore them in the future. Democrats in Colorado's congressional delegation are raising new concerns about the conditions inside the ICE detention facility in Aurora. The Trump administration has ended surprise oversight visits that are actually outlined in law, so the Dems had to give days of warning before they showed up, and they still came away with questions. Colorado's 4 Democrats in the House sent a long list of inquiries to the Department of Homeland Security and ICE. Questions about the air conditioning and water sometimes being out, questions about detainees being pressured to self-deport, and questions about where the detainees are from and how many of them have a criminal history. The reps say that there's urgency to this request because the Trump administration is reportedly considering reopening a correctional facility in Hudson to make more room for immigrant detention. We're wrapping up a rough summer wildfire season in Colorado, and we know from history that fall in a year like this could be difficult too, especially with the exceptional drought on the western slope. But there is something that we can do together about the fire risk in our state. We can fund wildfire mitigation projects through this week's Word of Thanks microgiving campaign. We're working with the Colorado Youth Corps Association to tackle 3 projects that are in limbo due to the state of federal funding. First up, Southwest Conservation Corps has a planned project outside Durango where they want to protect the source of the city's drinking water and keep a future fire from spreading easily into neighborhoods. Then it's on to a Rocky Mountain Youth Corps project outside Steamboat Springs for what was originally designated a high priority project to protect against a catastrophic wildfire threatening Steamboat. But the U.S. Forest Service is not going to be able to do that project this year. Each of those are $15,000 projects. I am so confident in your generosity, I asked the nonprofit organizing this work to pick out a third wildfire mitigation project for us to fund together. So that one is going to be along the 285 corridor near Conifer. Mile High Youth Corps is going to be working with the Forest Service to burn slash piles and prepare for prescribed burns in the forest there. Listen, this is something that is real and tangible that we can do to deal with those two simultaneous challenges: the threat of wildfires and uncertain federal funding. Scan the QR code on your screen or text the word THANKS to 303-871-1491 to get the link to donate. Your 5 years of microgiving raising $15 million proves how $5 donations really do matter. I'll never ask you to give to a cause that I don't support, so as always, I'll match the first 50 donations of $5 to get us rolling. Nearly 6,000 of you have signed up to make a monthly donation to the Word of Thanks Fund. Put in your info once, your donations automatically split each week. That was the reason why we were so confident that we're going to fund those first two projects quickly and move on to working on that third as we start with more than $35,000 in donations. Fire departments across the state are struggling right now to find the funding they need for staff and for equipment.
So people call it migration, but it's actually, we call it a mate-gration.
Ah, yeah, because that's what they're going to do when they get to where they're going. They're going to, you know, a program in Colorado is making sure these tarantulas don't get squished on the way there. Adams 12 School District Superintendent wants voters to approve higher property taxes to pay for more things like school security and higher teacher salaries. School board will vote tonight on putting a $40 million mill levy override on the November ballot. For the average homeowner, it would increase property taxes about $34 per month. That money would go toward adding mental health support for students, staffing up career and technical education programs, adding school resource officers, and raising teacher pay.
I mean, there's a young woman across the hallway who's a rock star. She's 22 years old. We need to keep her around, and I think it's more important that our young teachers are given pay bumps in order to make them have livable wages.
Voters saw a similar question on their ballots last year in Adams 12, and they voted it down. The district then cut $27 million from its budget, which included 150 jobs. Rain the past couple of days has helped stop the wildfire burning in Eagle County from spreading, though firefighters working it expect it's going to come back to life a bit when the warm weather returns. Lightning started the Derby fire a week and a half ago. It's grown to more than 4,700 acres. It's 4% contained. Homes closest to that fire have been on standby to evacuate. Fire departments report that they need a lot more people and a lot more money to keep up with growing demand for their services in Colorado. The assessment found 82% of departments that participated in a recent report said they don't have the money they need to hire the people and the training and equipment that they need. The report found that they would require more than $25 million over the next 2 years to cover the cost of equipment alone. They also said that they need thousands more career and volunteer firefighters. The state's Division of Fire Prevention and Control says they'll use this information to try and find creative solutions to address that lack of funding. Talk with meteorologist Chris Bianchi, and certainly the rain has been great news on the western slope, but it's not going to change the underlying situation out there with the exceptional drought.
Exactly right, Kyle. We're putting a little drop in the bucket in terms of the amount of water that we really need to kind of get rid of this drought. However, us turning into Seattle, Colorado here over the last, say, 5 to 7 days, it is helping out with those near-term fire conditions. Akron getting a storm right now out here, and here in Denver, 3 consecutive days with mostly or fully cloudy skies for us. So it's not just you, it's kind of looked like Seattle, and we're seeing that outside right now. With a few rumbles of thunder for us across the eastern plains. No severe weather right now across the eastern plains. The mountains seeing some showers. And by the way, that is a flash flood warning on the Lee fire burn scar there just to the south of Meeker. Closer into the metro area, Highlands Ranch, Littleton, Roxborough Park. seeing some showers and some rumbles of thunder right now in the eastern plains. A little line of storms right now as well. Again, no severe weather right now, just some pitter-patter on those rooftops. We'll see that over the next few hours. 1 or 2 stronger cells for us across the eastern plains. Those storms mainly over the next 2 hours or so. And that 7-day forecast, well, I guess it doesn't want to pop on up here, but I assure you there's a forecast. There we go. We're going to be up near 80 degrees with mostly cloudy skies through Friday, and then just in time for the Labor Day weekend, those temperatures getting back into the mid-80s.
Just had to jiggle the handle. Tarantulas get a bad rap. They just want to live their lives, find someone, make some tarantula babies, except they keep getting smushed by cars in Colorado. Hey, as you're driving around in the car, smushing spiders, you can listen to Next as a podcast each evening. You can also find us streaming on 9 News Plus each weeknight at 6. Male tarantulas usually die shortly after mating. Either the female eats them or they starve to death. Tough break either way. An even tougher break for the whole species, not just the dudes, is when these spiders on their way to do their sexy business get run over by vehicles on Colorado's roads. Happens all the time. CDOT's working on solutions.
So this is the Oklahoma brown tarantula or Texas brown tarantula. I think they're just really misunderstood. They're awesome. They support controlling pests, for example, which is super important. People call it a migration, but it's actually, we call it a mate-gration. A lot of males are just gonna come out and start walking in the mornings or the evenings looking for females. So this happens in southern Colorado, in the area of La Junta or Lamar, where we have bigger populations of the spiders. We were really interested in understanding about these patterns of movement. So males are clearly moving all over these areas in La Junta, and clearly by moving there, they also end up crossing roads. Cars can just like drive and just like run off some of these spiders. So that's a problem. We ended up linking with the Colorado Department of Transportation to understand more about these movements. Where are they crossing the roads, and how can we protect them from crossing the roads and be safe? We ended up constructing culverts and drift fences. So you're creating like a small fence around the area. So if the spiders go and touch that fence, they're gonna be funneled into the tunnel. This was awesome because at the end we did get positive results knowing that where we constructing these, spiders were using these areas and we're actually being safe from being killed on the road. They're just really interesting beings that are doing their thing, and it's great to respect them, and we are really trying for people to love them the way we do. There we go.
They get funneled into the tunnel, right? Francisco tells us that they have not only seen spiders use these culverts, but birds and reptiles and other animals as well. Everybody's just out there looking for love. We're back with your feedback next. Hello there. Thank you. There are some wildfire mitigation projects that may not get done in Colorado due to uncertainty around federal funding. So we can hope, which is not a strategy, we can complain, which is not a solution, or we could just fund some of those projects ourselves, and if the federal funding does eventually come through, it's going to be able to be routed towards additional wildfire mitigation. This week's Word of Thanks Microgiving Project, in collaboration with the Colorado Youth Corps Association, aims to fund 3 $15,000 wildfire mitigation projects that we have identified. One is near Durango, one is near Steamboat Springs, and the third is along the 285 corridor near Conifer. Scan the QR code on your screen or text the word THANKS to 303-871-1491 to join me and a bunch of other Coloradans in donating to get this wildfire mitigation work done and make our communities safer. Email tonight from Ed, who writes to say, I am deeply disappointed that my charitable giving dollars are going to a task that the federal government would have normally done. I'm still donating, but I have a foul taste in my mouth. I absolutely understand that, Ed, and right, that's the challenge for the community as the federal government's funding priorities change. There's a number of different ways that people can respond to that. Voting is one of them, but you can't vote today, and you can't vote tomorrow, but we can do that wildfire mitigation work.